Hey y'all, I just wanted to come on here and share with you my hysterectomy story. I think it's important as African American, especially African American woman, to advocate for yourself, to know that it's okay to advocate for yourself, to um, be in tune with your body, to know when you need to go to the doctor, to know when it's something is off with you. It's important to know all that, especially as a woman, because we have that time of the month and things like that. Um, so, me personally, I try to be in tune with my body of that nature. So, if I'm spotting or if I'm, you know, doing something that my body normally doesn't do, okay, let me figure out why this is happening. So, after I had my son in 2016, um, I found out that I had cervical fibroids. Um, if you don't know what that is, I could put a little description in the box down here. But it's basically like a cyst on your cervix that uh, is painful. It can cause heavy periods. It can cause spotting in between periods. It can cause pain during sex. There's a lot of different things that come with that. Irregular periods. Oh, terrible. Um, but I've always had heavy periods, so that didn't that didn't really like set any bells off. So, okay, cool. They're down there doing their exam after I gave birth. They found out I had it, and then I end up having to have further testing and the surgery to get it removed. It was then my mother further explained to me um, the history in our family with the uterus and our cervix and our ovaries, and we have a history of hysterectomies in our family. And based off this is where she believes I'm headed. And so I started doing more research and becoming more in tune with my body, remembering the symptoms I had. So for me personally, I had um, spotting in between periods. So I would spot the week before my period, and then I would have my period 3 to 4 days, but then I would spot for 3 or 4 days after that. So my period was like a week long, and then I would ovulate and have that week, and then it would go back to that. So that was back in 2016. So fast forward to 2021. I was living in Tennessee at the time. My husband was deployed in Germany. He was a MP at the time, military police officer, non-hazardous, but he got deployed. Um, so my sister was helping me with my kids, basically living with me. Thank God for her. But I had started spotting again, and I was like, oh my God, like, this is not the time. Like, I can't be spotting. I'm about to move. Like, what is happening? So at this time, he's deployed. I'm about to go, I'm packing up, about to move to California. So that was the timeline. So even if I wanted to, I didn't have time to make an appointment. I believe I actually called and they told me that I couldn't because the time frame I had before I left, my OBGYN was booked. So by this time, I was already stressed out. My husband's gone. I'm moving, and now my body's out of whack. So it's a lot of reasons, right, why it could be out of whack. I'm also a believer of this. I don't know if anybody's ever told you this. Woman, it is okay to examine yourself. When I was getting older, developing my parts, my mother always made sure that I was familiar with my body. So I was looking in the mirror down there one day and I was like, oh my God. Like, all I saw was like these little nodules. And I was like, I'm about to like die. Like, I thought my life was over. So I asked my sister to confirm she a real one. She confirmed, what she saw or what I told her that I saw. She was like, sis, you gotta take care of that when you get to Cali. So boom, I get to Cali, and I make an appointment. So this is now August of 2021. No, August of 2022. So by this time, I'm spotting before my period, I have my longer periods and they become heavier. I did notice I had to go up to Ultra tampons, and I think I was in a 4 pad, changing every 2 hours. And it was terrible. Cramps, like, oh my God. And then after my period, my spotting after was prolonged. So essentially, I was dealing with those issues for 3 weeks out of the month. At my preliminary appointment, they did a pelvic exam because they was like, "Are you sure you want this?" Yeah, look in that thing and tell me what's wrong. Like, I'm not tripping. So they was like, okay, well, it could be an STD, or it could be some type of cancer that they check, PVH or something like that. And I was like, okay, so they did all that good stuff. Everything came back clear. Like, it ain't that. Like, come on. Like, y'all not listening to me. So then he recommended me to the ultrasound and then to the specialist. I get to the ultrasound. They say the same thing. Oh, everything looks fine. Mind you, I had to be on my period during the ultrasound. And if you have never experienced that, it is such a nasty feeling because you're bleeding on top of the gel they have to put in there. So then you have all that, and then and then you're on the table. Like, oh my God. So anyway, the ultrasound read clear. They didn't see nothing. So then I went to the specialist. And by this time, I'm a little frustrated because I'm like, y'all not listening to me. And I'm dealing with all this pain because it's not like I'm going back to back to back. These are, months at a time that I have to wait. So it's like, bro, I'm irritated. So I explained to her, and she was like, okay, well, let me examine you. So she examines me, and she checks the back of my cervix and found fibroids. And she was like, I can see why nobody found it because they were kind of in the back, but this explains, what's going on. And she measured my uterus, and that's when I found out my uterus was my centimeter. The regular one is 8 to 8.5. Mine was at 11. Yeah, like, okay, thank you. Like, this is making sense. Thank you. Something that makes sense. So she was like, well, we have a couple options. Do you want a hysterectomy, or, that's kind of abrasive, so we don't suggest that off the bat. We prefer you do an ablation. And I was like, I don't want no ablation. Like, I need you to take that thing. And she was like, are you sure? I'm very positive. Well, do you want any more kids? No. My tubes are tied, burned out. Like, no, I don't. So next, but you're so young. Like, ma'am, take it out. So after we talked about it, I had to wait 2 months because that's a major surgery, and she wants to make sure that I do my research, and maybe I'm going to have a change of heart. So that's another. So by this time, 2022. And so I'm like, seriously? Beginning of the year, I had an appointment. They called me, and my doctor moved. She had a discrepancy with the hospital. They didn't come to terms, and she bunked out. Like, I had to start over with a whole new doctor. So I'm like, dang, now I gotta explain it again and go through the same BS. I was supposed to have the surgery December of 2022. When I went in for the surgery, my blood pressure was too high. And they said if I would have gotten on the table, I possibly could have stroked out and died. So I've dealt with blood pressure before, only during pregnancies. It does run on my side of the family, on my dad's side. But it was never something I had to take every day. So they didn't do the surgery, and I had to get my blood pressure taken care of first, and then they would greenlight me again. That broke me. But I understood. But I was so excited not to be in pain, so excited to finally have some type of relief, only to get let down, only to get that type of news that I did. It was a lot to take in. So I get my blood pressure together from his perspective. I go back up there. You know, I got the green light, my paperwork, all this stuff. They schedule another surgery. It happens again. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, okay. So at this point, they're like, maybe you should go off base because where we are is secluded. And so they don't have the resources if something were to happen with me on the table to sustain me. So they gave me a referral to go off post to start looking around. And overall, I'll just condense that experience because, baby, overall, I saw a matter of 5 doctors, and I didn't like none of them. And the one hospital they were trying to send me to was like 2.5 hours away. So I'm like, God, I don't have the gas money for that. I can't just keep going back and forth. You know, like it was just too much. So it got to the point where I didn't have an option but to go to the specific hospital that I wasn't trying to go to, which was 2.5 hours away. But once I got there, it was so worth it. I went in and they were so understanding. They were so considerate. They were sensitive to my pain, to my needs, to every, you know, they're looking at the charts. They did the exam and they was like, yeah, we gotta do something. He said, I can't believe they've been letting you sit like this for so long. I went to see them, I want to say early May. 2 weeks later, hi honey. 2 weeks later, I was on the surgery table. The day of the surgery, we get there and they're like, oh, you know, your kids can't go back there because they're not over the age of 18. And I'm just like, okay. Y'all knew I had kids. Maybe they didn't think they were coming and it's like, ugh. So I had to get checked in and do all that stuff by myself. They were able to come say me goodbye. They gave my husband the number and all that stuff when I was going to be done and how to check in on me and things like that. So I get back there, get the surgery done. The doctor, you know, is like, you know, you did great. Everything looks so good. You can go home today. Went home, most excruciating pain. Like, that is the most painful day of my life. Like, I would give birth again not to feel that. And that says a lot. Because I had to get stitches. If you know, you know. Anyway, so of course it takes 6 to 8 weeks to heal. My husband was able to take care of me during my healing period. I took about 7 weeks. Had my medications on rotation. He was taking care of the children. He was cleaning up the house. He was making sure I ate, making sure I rested. He was really a mean nurse. He wouldn't let me do nothing. But, and that, after it was all said and done, I was thankful for how everything played out because maybe I wouldn't have had the experience that I had. So even if it was painful during everything, I'm ultimately glad that I did it. I'm a 1.5 years in, and even though I don't bleed anymore, I still have my wonky symptoms that happens after hysterectomy. If y'all want me to kind of go on details with that and what they don't tell you at the hospital that will happen, let me know in them comments, because sometimes I can't even cough without getting like a sharp pain or that's a whole nother video. But yeah, so I just wanted to encourage somebody else to know your body. And if you do know your body, advocate for your body and make sure you get the utmost care that you can possibly afford. And when I say afford, I mean insurance, because a lot of people go by insurance, so let's be real. And sometimes doctors are wrong. It's okay to get a second opinion. It's okay to do your own research. They tell you to stay off Google or whatever. No. If you have questions, do your research. Because what happens a lot of times in these type of situations, the knowledge is power. The doctor thinks you don't know nothing of what about what's going on, and they just want to get you in and get you out because they got to get somebody else. So they tell you, oh, it could be this, and this, and you like, no, this is what's happening. This is what I would like done, and stand on that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm grateful that I did that. I'm grateful to my husband for taking care of me, just being with me during that time frame, because even that was hard. It is so important to just advocate for yourself. That's the message of this whole story. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.